Once upon a time, over the gravity well and far away, there was a magical land where they had no kings, no laws, no money, and no property, but where everybody lived like a prince, was very well behaved, and lacked for nothing. And these people lived in peace, but they were bored, because paradise can get that way after a time, and so they started to carry out missions of good works, charitable visits upon the less well off, you might say, and they always tried to bring with them the thing that they saw as the most precious gift of all: knowledge, information, and as wide a spread of that information as possible. Because these people were strange in that they despised rank and hated kings and all things hierarchic, even ethnarchs. If they'd not been so unconcerned with power for its own sake, they would have been terribly feared, but as it was, they were only slightly feared, just as a matter of course, given the scale of their power. And one of the ways it amused them to wield that power was to interfere in societies they thought might benefit from the experience. And one of the most efficient ways of doing that in a lot of societies is to get to the people at the top. Many of their people became physicians to great leaders, and with medicines and treatments that seem like magic to the comparatively primitive people they're dealing with, ensure that a great and good leader has a better chance of surviving. That's the way they prefer to work, offering life, you see, rather than dealing death. You see, these people, these nice, kind people who are so soft and prefer to deal in life, when somebody goes back on a deal with them, even when somebody kills after they said they wouldn't, they still don't. The nice people are called the culture, and I always did think they were too soft. I stopped working for them some time ago. I'm freelance now. I'm called Cheradanine Zakalwe. You're called dead. Fuck yeah!
Would that the rest of this book were that pulpy.
Yeah, what if this book had just been that? Like,
What do we know? What does we? How are the union and the socialist we? Everything I can need, oh I need, oh I need, oh I need, oh the what does we? Oh what does we? Oh what does we? Oh what do we? Oh.
welcome back to Workers Lit, your favorite podcast about the narrative. Is it still our favorite podcast about the narrative, or is it just is it your favorite podcast about books?
Well, I was just going to say your favorite podcast about something relevant to this week. So, your favorite podcast about like fuck-ass dudes who are scared of chairs, or maybe are horny for chairs, or maybe
Maybe he should have gotten his ass fucked. Maybe he would have been more interesting.
Yeah, your favorite podcast about saying that men should get their ass fucked more to become interesting.
I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and they pointed out very, very, very correctly that him and his brother should have just fucked.
Obviously.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be in love with his brother because it didn't make sense otherwise.
Mhm.
And then it made even less sense at the end.
In the best twist in literary history. We're talking about use of weapons.
Yeah, by Iain M. Banks or whatever. I'm so sorry, listeners who voted for this. I think this is gonna be the first voting thing that we're gonna savage.
Oh, come
Yeah.
on, they live for that shit.
Because
Yes.
I fucking hated this book. I'm gonna be so real with you right now. And it's not even that it was that bad. It was just bad in such a specific way that I could see the ways that it could have been good,
Right.
that it made me fucking hate it so much. I'm sorry, dead Iain M. Banks. You are a very good prose writer. I'm sorry.
Aisha, would you
sometimes.
believe, did we mention this in the chat, that this book was originally intended to be much longer?
Almost
yes,
3
and
times as long.
And I almost threw my phone across the room. Just like I almost threw my phone across the room when he blew the chair up. I was like, I just literally yelled cuck and almost threw my phone. So we'll get there.
Fantastic work. Well, yes. Shout out. This was selected by listeners. And look, I don't know the reasons why it was recommended. I don't know the reasons why it was voted for. I do know numerous listeners through the years have recommended this book to us. presumably because you like it. And look, you can like what you want to like. That's fine. There's some interesting stuff in this book. We'll say what we think is interesting as it goes along. But I'm gonna be real. All three of us were like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm gonna be frank. I have not engaged with Iain Banks' work before. This is my first time. I've read, I think, some short stories. I did read a little more from him after this, some like examples of other books from him. Some of it I did like, and there are some things like Wasp Factory that look pretty interesting to me. There's some stuff that looks like I might like. I'm not savaging this person as a guy. Maybe I will.
No.
I haven't heard the bio on him yet.
Yeah.
But I didn't like this book. So do either of y'all have history with Iain Banks before we get into this?
Not really. You know, Wasp Factory had crossed my radar before. That is another one of the, as I allude to on our Tender as the Flesh episode way back in the day, that is another one of the books that makes the rounds of the horror literature, like extreme horror literature, like subreddits. Like,
Sure.
oh, what's the most disturbing book you've ever read? And every week somebody mentions that fucking book. And so eventually I have
that's a
to
stupid
get around
question.
to... No. Eventually, I had to get around to seeing whether it's like, you know, all that.
Yeah, I asked my dad if he knew this guy, because my dad is a science fiction writer and he knows some science fiction writers from back in the day.
A lot of
He's
people
like-
don't know that Aisha's dad is Stephen King. It's a guarded secret. Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually right now. It's very sad. He's getting savaged on Twitter. We're very sad for him. Yeah, that's my real last name is King.
You must get all your
My-
posting ability from your mother.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So, and he was like, yeah, isn't that pervert guy? And I was like, kind of excited because I love to read a pervert guy, but this guy was not a pervert in an interesting way. Even the pervert stuff in the book was not that interesting to me.
Sure. Yeah. So I think none of us have had experience with him prior, but Lenore has the bio on Mr. Saving Mr. Banks. Is this anything?
Iain M. The M is from Menzies. I assume that's how you pronounce it. Iain
Wait, is
Menzies.
it actually?
Yeah.
Menzies?
Menzies?
Menzies. Menzies.
Blow that island up.
Yeah.
Eliminate that
born,
island.
born on the 16th of February, 1954 in Dunfermline. He is a Scot. His mom was a professional ice skater. His dad was an officer with the Admiralty. And from a very early age, he gets into sci-fi. He says in several interviews, when he was a kid, he was gifted a copy of Kemlo and the Zones of Silence, this golden age sci-fi book written by E.C. Eliot. That is one of 13 pseudonyms of an author whose name currently escapes me. But that's what gets him into sci-fi. He likes the freedom of the genre because he says that, yeah, when you open up, you never really know what you're going to get. He also, that was one of 3 books that that he came up with to sort of define his initial influences. He also read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas in his adolescence. The prose really blew his mind at the time. I mean, you know, teenage boy reading Fear and Loathing, you're gonna react that way. Like,
Pork found in kitchen.
he studies English and philosophy and psych at U Sterling, class of 75. He worked a few day jobs over the next decade. He wrote in the evenings. And he plugs away at it for a while. He writes three sci-fi books that are initially rejected, and eventually he publishes his first one, The Wasp Factory, in 1984. And this he wrote because he decided, okay, I got to write a more mainstream novel because more publishers are going to look at it. I want to get published before I'm 30. So he publishes a book where a serial killer whose cock was bitten off by a dog builds a machine to drown people in his piss.
That sounds awesome.
Okay, all right. Okay, that sounds way better.
Why didn't y'all recommend us that one?
Why did you send us the piss one?
The Irish Times calls it a work of unparalleled depravity, to which he responds, look, the readers get it even if the critics don't.
Okay, so maybe he is the pervert guy and we just didn't get the pervert book. I'm so offended.
Yeah, no, I think we'll return to this trough in the near future.
The piss trough.
Well,
Yes.
we could.
Mm-hmm. So the readers do get it. They get it so hard that he's able to start writing full time after this book. I was able to find, sales figures for specific books are often quite difficult to find, especially from this time. But I was able to find 172,000 copies of The Wasp Factory sold in one print run. He's advised to write a book a year by his publisher because you have to keep the pace up. And up until 2001, from 1984 to 2001, that is what he does.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
for the rest of his life.
if this book was written in 1 year, I kind of understand it better.
So there's sort of a longer process to it, like around, let me see.
Regular Neville
Yeah.
shoot of a man, huh?
Yeah, this was cleaned up from a draft. What we're reading today was cleaned up from a draft written in 1974. So he had that lying around for a decade and a half.
So he
or
wrote it
so.
earlier than the Wasp. This is
Okay.
older than the Wasp Factory.
In college, yeah.
That makes sense that it feels so dated in a way that like other stuff from the 80s and 90s doesn't. But it feels like a book you'd write in the 70s.
He puts out 3 more non-sci-fi books after Wasp Factory. In 1987, he decides, okay, I can try sci-fi now. I have enough of a following. He publishes Consider Phlebas in that year. That is his first novel of the Culture series. Now, the Culture he describes thusly in an interview with SFX magazine in 1996. Quoth him, "Right from the start, I was trying not to proselytize. The Culture is not perfect, but it's as close to perfection as you can get with anything remotely human, and still probably far better than we can expect. The basic thing about the Culture is don't try to fuck with it. You can charm the Culture, you can beguile it, you can even in some sense seduce it, but you can't fuck with it. It's bigger than you are. And what the Culture is this galaxy-spanning empire. It is post-scarcity. It has solved essentially every logistical problem you can imagine, and what it does is interacts with empires like other like polities on its fringes, and they go, okay, we have the key to immortality, to like permanent abundance, like in exchange for becoming part of our whole thing, we will give this to you. They try to avoid conflicts, though they are certainly not above it. They do have incredible weaponry.
It's
this
the
was
thing
a reaction
that was described at the top of the episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a reaction against the very like right-wing, military-oriented American SF of the like 1960s, 1970s. It should come as no surprise to us that the drones are his favorite characters to write. This is an AI normative setting. Like robots are like full citizens.
Yeah,
in the
drone
context
was
of
the
the culture.
only character that I liked.
Yeah, no, like it's to the degree that our characters have chemistry, it would seem that like it's the sort of chemistry that you have with yourself when you're coming up with like witty repartee in your own head, right? The drone comes the closest. Well, and the brother sister relationship toward the end of the book, but the drone comes the closest to like somebody else interacting with with somebody like as a character. He also specifically talks about the starship names in interviews about this series, which tends to support my theory that he was a world builder first and a writer second. The starship names were what sort of twigged me onto the Culture novels in the first place. If I could just share some here. Of course, the Culture is run by these AIs called minds. They're like deifically intelligent. They have also like a very strange, like tongue-in-cheek kind of sense of humor. So they name their ships like things like let's see, the Unfortunate Conflict of Evidence, the Just Another Victim of the Ambient Morality. What else? The I Blame My Mother, the I Blame Your Mother.
What the fuck?
Owned.
This is my favorite, the Refreshingly Unconcerned with the Vulgar Exigencies of Veracity.
That's my...
So, like, I didn't even know that the Culture was ruled by benevolent AIs. See, like, this is another thing that I think that we should not do another book that's halfway through a series. Because the whole time I was reading this, I was like, do I just not get what's going on because the book is bad, or because it's the third book in a series and I should know what's going on, or do I just not have high enough IQ for this book? Like,
well, the thing is, it's in a series, but it's not like a linear series in the sense of you're like learning about like they're not recurring characters or whatever,
right? But
like,
I feel like that doesn't matter. Like I feel like even if a series is about different people, I feel like that like the information that you get about the world is necessary to fully appreciate a book. So like definitely. I felt like all of this stuff was like they're like, get ready for this guy, and I'm like, this means nothing to me.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I did look, and a lot of people were saying like, oh yeah, read this one first. He wrote it first, so it's the best one to read first. But I think you're right that maybe there would have been a level of appreciation I had if I had read some of the other stuff. I definitely went like wiki jumping a few times during this book, which is a thing that listeners will know I never want to do. If I start wiki jumping, this is that I am not pleased. But you know, I did do that, and it brings some context, but I would argue it still doesn't make the book good.
Yeah.
Frankly,
I
like
have been
having that context,
recommended.
but yeah,
I've been recommended to start with the Player of Games. I've actually like
that's not
listened
the
to the
first one either, though.
No, the first one's considered Fleabus, but the Player of Games is number 2. That one is. I've actually listened to the first 6 chapters or so. The audiobook. I have that lying around somewhere.
Okay.
That's. It just sounds more. It just sounds more interesting. Not that the premise of this like is not interesting. Like like this agent
Yeah,
of the
there's a
culture
premise
has
here.
gone rogue. You know, he's being brought back for one more job, right?
I had heard of the Player of Games. I had
Mhm.
not heard of this.
I think that's the one that came closest to an adaptation, or like at the very least, there's been the most like scuttlebutt like about like one being done. Although certainly not the only one attempted to be adapted. Morgana has
Morgana
opinions on
just dropped
this.
a wrench on my foot.
Yeah, and then flashed his butt at us. That's awesome.
Yeah. Check out his
Cats
butthole.
rule. Cats rule. That's it's. I think drones are the equivalent of cats in the future.
There's something to that. I think. I
Mhm.
think there's something.
Yeah,
to that.
there's gonna be way more cat cameos in my new place because this office has a door that they can push open.
Cat names.
It's fucking Jover for me.
So, Use of Weapons drops in 1990. And worth noting, he wins 7 awards over the course of his career, only 2 of them for culture novels. Picks up a smattering of nominations. This is one of the award winners. He picks up a Cord Laswitz Prize for Use of Weapons, which is a German sci-fi prize, and a British Sci-Fi Association Award for Accession. Ultimately, over the course of his career, he writes 13 sci-fi books, 14 non-sci-fi novels, a poetry collection, 2 short story collections. This was interesting to me. He described his non-sci-fi stuff variously as like mainstream, for lack of a better word. He also accepted the term slipstream, which means like non-sci-fi stuff that sci-fi readers like, though it's not necessarily a word that he used. Somebody else coined that.
Yeah, like the Piss Factory.
He also has a nonfiction book out, which is called, this was charming to me, it's called Raw Spirit in Search of the Perfect Dram. And it's about a bunch of road trips he takes across Scotland in search of the best whiskey.
This guy seems nice. I feel bad that I don't like his book. Maybe I would like
Right.
his piss book. Like, sorry, sir. I wish I'd read your piss book instead.
A quote from Raw Spirit, because it also includes like political musings. And this is from like 2003, 2004. I find myself looking at Blair and hating his self-righteous, bush-whipped ass the way I only ever hated Thatcher before. I look at W and just see a sad fuck with scared eyes, a grossly underqualified for practically anything daddy's boy, who's had to be greased into every squalid position he's ever held in his miserable existence, who might finally be starting to wake up to the idea that if the most powerful nation on earth, like ever, dude, can put somebody like him in power, all may not be well with the world. W is that worst of all things, at least at this level of power and influence. A cast iron, 100% complete and total loser who somehow lucked out and made it to the very top. He has an eye, he has a way with words, but I think especially in this book, he also has an eye for like how politics is blind to like who you are, the sort of person you are, as opposed to what you can, what purpose you can serve for this or that political project.
He would have killed it on Twitter with stuff like that.
Yeah.
They would have.
God,
Resist
people-
Twitter would love him.
Yeah, we'll get into it, cause like this book didn't feel political to me.
No.
Like it has the aesthetic of a political thriller, but it doesn't actually have any politics or thriller elements.
It's just like
it was-
war kind of sucks, folks.
Yeah, it was just like a guy walking around being sad. I'm like, I'm sorry, like we'll get into it.
Yeah,
His,
it gestures at politics.
As far as like adaptations go, Raw Spirit is read on BBC Radio in an abridged format in 2003. Several of his novels get adapted for BBC TV and radio. He gets a film adaptation of Complicity. Wasp Factory gets a stage play and an opera, weirdly.
Oh,
They got a
There's
piss
opera.
stage play and a piss opera.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
brother.
A piss play, if you will, yeah. There's been There's been lots of talk about an adaptation of one of the culture books like forever. That has never yet happened. In his lifetime, this is charming. His biggest fear was that they'd fuck up the spaceships, just like how they're depicted. His views on AI are quite interesting to me. He gets into this in the book. He was of the opinion that sentience wasn't necessarily limited to things biological, right? He's a staunch materialist in the sense that, okay, like, I don't believe humans have souls or anything metaphysical animating us. I'm an atheist. So if matter can have consciousness, as we are matter, we have consciousness, why not machinery eventually? That's a different form of matter. Although he doubted it would happen anytime soon.
He was right.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, they describe in this book how AI works, and it's like they replicated human brains with machine parts. It's not LLMs, right? Like they are. It's a different thing.
Right.
I'm agnostic on whether or not you could, replicate a human brain with synthetic material. Maybe I don't fucking know. I know that ChatGPT isn't that. So it's a different type of AI that they've really poisoned the well for all of us with their whole. With this AI nonsense of late.
He would have hated what we're seeing right now, for sure. Politically, he's also pretty cool. He endorsed the Scottish Socialist Party in an interview way back. He self-identified. He was kind of tongue-in-cheek, like conscious of his class position. He was like, well, I call myself a socialist if I run into like a right-wing American just for the bit. I don't know if I'm allowed to call myself a socialist because I'm pretty well off. He self-identified as like a champagne socialist.
Yeah.
In protest of the invasion of Iraq, which he called an act of civilizational thuggery, his words, he cut up his passport and he mailed it to 10 Downing Street.
Oh my God.
He jokes that he did this after he abandoned his original idea, which was crashing his Land Rover through the gates of Fife Dockyard. He says that I saw the guys with machine guns and I decided not to.
This guy is, I feel bad now. I'm glad he's not alive.
In 2010, the so-called country of Israel attacked a civilian flotilla, delivering supplies to Gaza, killed 9 people. He called for a cultural and educational boycott of Israel in response. He told his agent to, in perpetuity, turn down any book translation details with their publishers. Quoth Banks, appeals to reason, international law, UN resolutions, simple human decency mean it is now obvious nothing to Israel. I would urge all writers, artists, and others in the creative arts, as well as those academics engaging in joint educational projects with Israeli institutions, to consider doing everything they can to convince Israel of its moral degradation and ethical isolation, preferably by simply having nothing more to do with this outlaw state.
Holy shit.
God only
in
knows.
2010?
In 2010,
That's crazy. Oh my God. Brother. Well, he seems cool.
He was pretty cool, which makes what follows all the more sad. He had a long marriage until about 2005, split from her, got together with another girlfriend not long after. On March 29th, 2013, he married said girlfriend after asking her, would you do the honor of becoming my widow? Because 5 days later, on the 3rd of April, he announced on his blog that he had inoperable cancer of the gallbladder. He was not expected to live another year, and he did not. He canceled all forthcoming engagements. He moved up the publication of his final book, The Quarry. It was released on June 20th, 2013, 11 days after his death at the age of 59.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There is an interview that aired. I can't remember if it was posthumously or not, but there is a last year interview of his from the last months of his life after the announcement of his condition.
On Earth, one of the things that a large proportion of the locals is most proud of is this wonderful economic system, which, with a sureness and certainty so comprehensive, one could almost imagine the process bears some relation to their limited and limiting notions of either thermodynamics or God, all food, comfort, energy, shelter, space, fuel, and sustenance gravitates naturally and easily away from those who need it most and towards those who need it least. Indeed, those on the receiving end of such largesse are often harmed unto death by its arrival, though the effects may take years and generations to manifest themselves.
you make a statement in the State of the Art about how could they have created a society where, you know, those who have get more and those who don't have get even less. I mean, it's like a credo that, you know, you believe very strongly that we've got it wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think the thing is, it's not impossible to correct things. I love the way people talk about, you know, blue sky thinking, and yet you try to suggest anything properly radical, they just think you're completely insane. You can imagine, for example, a different form of capitalism. If you're not going to have a proper, thoroughgoing revolutionary thing, a capitalism that didn't allow joint stock companies, where there was no such thing as a public limited company, where all, well, what you'd have instead would be partnerships in the proper old-fashioned sense, that there was unlimited liability, and you wouldn't have this farcical belief that you can somehow turn a company into a person, and the debts of the company were purely, you know, attached to it, not to the people that started it, and who would have benefited had it gone well. It might, you know, lead to a less dynamic form of capitalism, but arguably, you know, the dynamic form of capitalism we've had has kind of messed us up rather a lot.
Tributes pour in from the literary world. His publisher calls him an irreplaceable part of the literary world. The asteroid 5099 Iain Banks is named after him shortly after his death. The submersible DSV limiting factor is named after one of his ships. Currently holds the record for deepest dives in all 5 oceans. Also named after his ships are 3 ocean-going rocket recovery vehicles. The Just Read the Instructions, the Of Course I Still Love You, and the A Shortfall of Gravitas, so named by culture superfan Elon Musk.
Come on.
Boy. Oh.
Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is.
Unfortunately, he has some of the worst fans. Jeff Bezos announced in 2018 that Amazon Studios was developing a series based on Consider Phlebas. This was canceled 2 years later. And Grimes. Grimes said on a podcast a few years ago that Surface Detail is the greatest sci-fi novel of all time. Make of that what you will.
Boy.
I believe that Grimes has read the books. I don't know that I believe Elon has read the books. I think he's read the Wikipedia summaries.
That's probably true.
He gives the vibe of a guy who like browses Reddit and is like, yeah, I get it. I get the deal.
Yeah, probably Grimes was like, this is my favorite book. And he's like, okay, Grimes. Me too. Grimes.
I saw one of the best tweets of all time the other day from Grimes, and I've got to share it with y'all now. And it might get cut out, but it was right after Grimes did that like photo shoot where she was wearing that admittedly pretty cool outfit and reading the Communist Manifesto to make Elon Musk mad, which is, you know, a Grimes W for sure, despite my problems with her. And she posted, to be clear, I'm not a communist. I'm probably a capitalist, but I think the incentives in capitalism are bad currently. And the dollar should, she misspells should, be backed by something more meaningful, like trees. I know that's insane and likely impossible, but I'm an artist. My job is to say things like this.
Grimes is one of the greatest posters to ever live. The one where she like talked about becoming a Christian because she smoked too much weed. Like one of the greatest tweets of all time. I still like, I have never trusted that white girl, but I still kind of fuck with Grimes because she's so insane.
I'm sorry, Lenore, where were you?
Right at the end of his life. Yeah, that's him. Like he's a, again, you know, lightly honored as far as awards go, but has a very, very dedicated cult following that I don't understand at present.
No.
But I'm willing to learn more.
Yeah, I think the thing with, at least based on my knowledge of it, which is from this book and then some short stuff he wrote and some summaries I've read, it seems to me that the culture, while like, you know, we can sort of see it as like if the Adonians from, you know, got really, really powerful, you could also see it in a sort of effective altruist type way. Like, oh, in the future, once we make so much money off crypto, we can do all kinds of cool shit. Is like kind of also, I can see how an Elon Musk type or like one of a Bezos type could get into this shit. But I don't blame him for that any more than I blame, like, you know, the creators of American Psycho for like people wanting to be Patrick Bateman, you know?
Yeah. Cool guy. Kind of crappy book. What can you do?
Book
They
sucks.
can't all be bangers.
Yeah. Yeah, I said it earlier today. Like, yeah, like, nice guys can write shit that sucks. I do it all the time.
And I was like, I've been nominated for a British sci-fi award. Like, it's hard.
What did you get nominated for?
Amplitudes did.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Well, Amplitudes is fucking great, though. Everybody should get Amplitudes. This is an ad. It's the only ads we run is for our own stuff. Someone offered us $100 to promote an AI written book. I didn't respond to that. It's like, come on.
$100 whole dollars. Incredible.
Not even a person, just like total.
I bet you anything they if we had done that, I bet you anything they would have offered it to you in Bitcoin.
Not even Bitcoin, probably. Like some fucking Trump coin.
Some shit
Melania
coin, yeah.
Yeah. And then it would have gone to the moon. We would have made a lot of money, actually. Okay. Let's see. Well, this book, we should explain, has 2 stories going through it. It has chapters. You might think, chapters, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Well, that's true. But also sometimes there are chapters that go 13, 12, 11, 10 in reverse. And those ones are in Roman numerals. Sometimes there are 2 stories where a character exists in both stories. And one of them is going backwards and one of them is going forwards.
Is he going backwards? Because like sometimes it felt like he was jumping around. So
it's going backwards, but sometimes he has flashbacks to things further back and it cheats.
Right. Also, sometimes the Arab numeral chapters have flashbacks in them too.
Yes.
So that would confuse me. I would be like, wait, when did this happen? Like, I stopped trying to figure the timeline out because I guess it doesn't really matter that much.
Thank Christ somebody on Reddit put one together.
Yeah, because like also like this guy is not interesting enough for us to see like all these snapshots of his life. I just don't care enough about him.
Well, a lot of people do. I found on Reddit, one of my favorite comments I've ever read was, I related a lot with Zakalwe. He and I are a lot alike. Dark, but tormented loners who society keeps demanding more from.
What? Like, Zakalwe doesn't have any character traits except smug. That's it. And he's not smug in a sexy way like James Bond. Like,
yeah,
I don't understand. I was like, maybe I'm like not male enough to like appreciate this guy, but I just like I don't understand what we're supposed to like about him.
Yeah, he's like, as you say, like, he's smug. He is like, I mean, there is a narrative convention that I really respect, whereby like somebody will go to incredible, grandiose lengths to achieve like relatively like petty ends. Mm-hmm. And like he certainly does that. He just doesn't do that enough, right? We also let me just read. This is like halfway through the book, which is wild to like get a description of this guy. But let me just read a little bit of what he looks like.
Because Zakalwe's our main guy. There's a lady that seems like she's also our main guy. No, we forget about her about halfway through the book. We'll talk about her, but just so you know, Zakalwe's the dude. Zakalwe's the man.
Yeah, they pull a Final Fantasy 16 with her, unfortunately.
I don't know what that means, but I believe you.
The fellow was fairly young, long-legged, dark-haired. The hair swept back, held in a ponytail, and possessed a striking, even handsome face, darkened by the sort of beard growth that never disappears through surface shaving alone. The lips were disquieting, looked at exclusively. They appeared cruel and arrogant, and only when the eye took in the rest of the face as well did this impression seem too severe. And, reluctantly perhaps, the observer had to allow that the dark glasses could not completely hide wide eyes and full brows, which, open and obvious, made the complete impression not disagreeable.
I take it back. Okay. This book is good. I like this guy.
This is gay. Yeah, that was gay.
Which for how heterosexual this book is, Aisha, like it could have been it wasn't homosexual enough.
Yeah. Oh no.
Which is frustrating because of shit like this being in here.
I know. Like, I don't know. We'll get to it, but like the few homosexuality drops in this, I was like, I wish he just hadn't mentioned it at all.
Yep. I'm scrounging for scraps. Yes.
Yeah. Which is like, that's fine. Like, it's like most people are straight. Most writers are straight. It's going to be straight stuff in most books. But just like, I don't know, man. And anytime something that's like, oh, we live in like this future where anything is possible. Let's talk like, and then the gender roles are exactly identical to how they are on Earth on every fucking alien planet he goes to. I'm like, come on, man. Like,
also, we don't meet an alien until page 268.
Yeah, Ursula K. Le Guin was writing like The Left Hand of Darkness in like the 60s. And
Right.
that shit was like galaxy brain compared to this. And I know he has a debuff of being a straight guy, but come on.
Right. Well, the book starts with a fuck-ass poem that I have nothing to say about. I don't know if either of y'all have anything to say about the fuck-ass poem.
No, the first few chapters of this book, I was really locked in. Like, I thought it was going to be really good. Like, the beginning of the book where he, like, I like this thing that he does. At least I liked it at first until it just kept doing it over and over again, and there was too much of it. I like the fact that he like starts scenes in weird places.
Sure.
Like you would like most writers I think would have started the first like what is the first chapter I think is Zakalwe and then that other guy that we never like they're like in an
With
old
a gun eye.
Right, like they're in like an old citadel drinking and like throwing crockery around. And it's like this like one of them is like unconscious under the table and the other one is just like kind of drinking on the balcony. And you get this like beautiful description of the city, of this like old citadel, and very like detailed physical descriptions of things happening, like of like things being smashed, of like a guy lying under the table drunk. And I was like, this is and then like some bombs start and they have to like start falling and they have to run away. And I was like, most writers would have started this scene with the bombs.
Sure.
And I thought it was interesting that he did like world building, but it doesn't really do any character building because we only really get physical descriptions of Zakalwe at this point, and then we never meet this other guy again. And
well, because I think this is supposed to take place in after the events of the book, I think.
Yeah, and the world building is like of a place we never go back to. So it really does just feel like, look how good I can write, which is like fine, especially like if this is what you're sending your agent. But like,
sure.
And then the scene, and then I liked Diziet. I liked Sma, the woman. When you meet her, you meet like the member of the culture, and she has to go find Zakalwe. So you're like, okay, we know Zakalwe is going to be that guy that we met earlier. He seemed cool. And then she has a cunty drone who rules.
Yes.
And that was fun.
Yes. It's that the prologue is the first thing you described. And then there's chapter 1, Dizzy at Sma. I wrote, she's hot. Trust me, she's hot. She's hot. She likes sex. She fucks a guy named Sussy Pin. That's cool. Sussy Penis. She's cool. Now, we have a little bit of men writing women shit going on here. I mean, it says tawny body. It says twice that she walked long-leggedly across the room.
Who out here be walking long-leggedly? Am I right, ladies?
Yeah, it's not quite like breasting boobily, right? But there's no interiority to this perception of her, right? Compare, like, I mean, we are very spoiled recently, right, by what we've been talking about. Like, compare Bit and Peach, right? Compare like how our museum curator character is described, how our dirtbag lesbian protagonist is looking at her and imagines her like origins, her attitudes. There's none of that here.
Well, even the women in Neuromancer, who I would also argue have like a sort of like dark, sad, tortured main character who is kind of a sexist and who fucks a lot and meets a lot of women. The women in Neuromancer have interiority and are interesting people and like have like thoughts and desires.
Yeah, Sma not so much.
I would say that, the Sma has potential for sure. I think there is a feeling of like, oh, I want to be subversive by making my woman like sex. I really got that vibe through this.
Yeah, me too.
Multiple times. Less in chapter 1 and more in like a little bit later. What we
Where
do
she just randomly has an orgy, which I was like, okay, girl, good for you. But also, yeah, it felt, and so I will admit, I, for some reason, thought this book was way more contemporary than it was. Like, I think I got tricked by like an AI overview maybe or something like that, like an idiot, and it got confused with something else. So I thought this was more like a contemporary book. So I was like, this feels like it was written 50 years ago. And it was. So I feel a little more positively about it after learning that. But also, there was stuff being written that was way more normal about women having sex than this book.
It is a very,
Sure.
yeah, this is, you have the right of it, Aisha. It is a very bland sex normativity with very little, like, messiness about it, right? Like, I do like how she has to go away on a mission, right? And she has a robot double that can stand in for her, and she makes a point of being like, look, I don't want my robot double banging people if I can't. This is standard operating procedure for me, but like not for my double, right? I would appreciate more nuance here. I would appreciate, say, like, okay, like she wants to know how people work in ways that only intimacy can tell you, perhaps. Or like, you want to go a little more arrogant with it, right? Maybe she's doing somebody a service, letting them experience her, right? I want her to be a little more arrogant. I want her to be a little more conniving. I can only infer that, right? It's just, she's Temu Mahitable-Par, right? Like,
What we do have though, Lenore,
Mhm.
what we do have here is Scaffin Amtiskal, who I will from here on out just refer to as the drone, the cunty drone, the
He
cool
rules.
drone, the badass drone.
Mhm.
I will not be saying Scaffin Amtiskal ever again on this entire episode.
I will.
Because why would I
Scaff
do that?
Scaff and Amtiscore, yeah.
Well, have fun doing that. The cunty drone fucking rules. He looks
Yeah.
like a suitcase, and he has fucking force fields coming out of him that show his mood. They change colors to show his mood, which anyone who's read, they call her rebel. No, I'm partial to that.
Mhm.
And he can like display text in the air if he doesn't want to say things out loud. Best character, right? But the drones are all conscious. They have human minds or better than human minds, and we get from Scaffin. I'll say Scaffin. That's fine. We
Steven.
get from Scaffin, from Steven.
Stephen
from
Antiscore.
Yeah, we get from Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith. We get the. That's something. Don't worry. We get the plot basically of what like the ostensibly the mission is. Do one of y'all want to read it, or y'all want me to?
He became president of the cluster following our involvement. While he was in power, he held the political system together, but he retired 8 years ago, long before he had to pursue a life of study and contemplation. The drone made a sighing noise. Things have slipped back since, and at the moment, Beishai lives on a planet whose leaders are subtly hostile to the forces Zakalwe and Beishai represented, and we backed, and who are taking a leading part in the factionalizing of the group. There are several small conflicts underway, and many more brewing. Full-scale war involving the entire cluster is, as they say, imminent.
Mhm.
So that's the deal. That's why they need
Yeah.
Zakalwe. They got to bring him back out of retirement to bring back this like guy who was a popular president. There's a cluster, I guess, a lot of planets that are going to go to war if we don't bring him back under control. And of course, the culture has the power to just like go in and like set up authoritarian communism or whatever. But they don't want to do that. They want to guide the people in the right direction. That's kind of their deal.
By the time that we got to Beishai, I'd like fucking completely forgotten who he was,
Yes.
why he was important. We actually kind of never find out why. Like, he's not very impressive. Like, we don't even really learn like the conflict that they're fighting. Like, it's something to do with like AI rights, but there's like no AI in this besides Stephen A. Smith, who we meet for like 3 chapters and then who disappears. I kept thinking somebody was going to turn out to be an AI. Like, I
Right.
thought the twist at the end was going to be Zakalwe was an AI of himself. And he was the weapon that they were using. Like, that's what I thought it was going to be. That they'd like taken this traumatized person and just copied his brain and made him into an AI, and he was the weapon that they were using. Like, and I think that would have made more sense.
Yeah, fortunately, there's a twist that's probably the best twist in all of fiction. You'll have to wait till the end of this episode
Yeah.
to hear about
I
it, listeners.
don't not respect it, but
Yeah,
I
it
do-
was
I
so
don't respect
fucking.
it.
It was so fucking stupid that I was just. It really was like. It was like my work here is done, but you didn't do anything. Level
Yes.
stupid.
Really
I think.
makes you think.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
The
so
good news is also there's another thing happening, which is we jump over to the other time stream, and there's a maths murderer, Ethnarch Karras, and it's Zakalwe in a Joker outfit, I think. Fucking
yeah,
kills him.
no, this part I liked too. Like this
Rules.
part, I was like, Zakalwe seems awesome. Like I am so ready to read a cool book about this guy because
Yes.
he like he does this really cool, like he attacks this like Archon in his sleep, and he does like a, you know, cool Solid Snake infiltration and does this thing because this guy apparently like did the thing that like the Nazis did, which is like
Yeah, he was like
told
gassing people. Yeah.
Right. Well, he told people like what the Nazis would say, go in here and it's just the showers. And when you come back out, you can have your clothes back. But instead they gassed them. Like this was a thing that they did. And he did this to people on a train. Like you're just you're just being moved. You're not being killed. And so what Zakalwe does here is he tells this guy like, oh, you've been really bad, but you know, I work for the culture, so they don't kill. That was like the speech from the beginning that
Yeah, the
Jacob
monologue
read out.
at the
Is
beginning.
like him talking to the Archon, saying like, luckily you'll just be, you know, put into like a soft play place for evil people. Aren't you happy? He's like, oh, good, I'm so relieved. And he's like, yeah, all the people that you told were gonna just be moved were relieved too. And then he like domes the guy, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm called Zakalwe and you're called Dead.
Yeah. Give me a book of this, but then it was not a book of this.
Yeah, there's a fascinating contradiction that this is like almost animating here, right? Like you have again, you know, the culture has hella weapons, but like they prefer to approach things like peacefully, right? They prefer to shape these societies from the top down. Like, okay, we're going to give you immortality in exchange for you doing what we like, and influencing your society more toward like this particular direction, right? And coupled with that, right, you have the minds, the AIs directing the culture, operating at such a literally galaxy brain level that they can afford to answer like Space Hitler doing genocide on this planet with mercy, because of their broad view of like, okay, millions are like a statistic in this impossibly large sort of edifice here, right? You have to be a post-scarcity society that has conquered the galaxy and death itself to even entertain the idea of redeeming fascists.
Right.
But death, being unconquerable, is fundamental to the human experience. It makes you finite. It makes the life we have worth fighting for, because we only get the one. And that is where Zakalwe is, because he's only human or humanoid, right? So, like, okay, it would make sense that he would split off from the culture and go freelance, because he's like, okay, well, like, this thing I'm doing unilaterally, right? Providing people with this technology that the culture can afford to do because they are a galaxy-spanning force. Like, I'm one guy. I can only keep tabs on this guy so far. So if he gets out of hand and does genocide, okay, that's something I have to clean up, right? That's an intriguing dynamic, and we never see it again.
Yeah. I thought it was like, okay, is what this book is going to be about is that like, right, when you are an all-powerful force, you can look at the world as numbers on a graph, but when you are just some fucking guy and you're seeing people suffering in front of you, it makes you want to, you know, go against the plan or whatever. And we do see Zakalwe do that every so often, but then like nothing ever comes of it. Like it is just like one thread in this kind of tapestry that never resolves into anything. It's like a mosaic. When you like look up close to it, it's nothing, and then you pull back out and it becomes something. But this just doesn't become anything.
See, I was never able to do those like magic eye puzzles. Those are always incomprehensible to me.
Yeah.
You'd think, based on this interaction, which is the most recent thing Zakalwe has done prior to, you know, him showing up in the main narrative of this book, that he has beef with the culture. He has his own philosophy about how things should be run, and he's going to do things differently now.
But he doesn't.
That is not the case.
No.
When the culture shows up to bring him back, he doesn't even argue with them. He doesn't ask for there to be new tactics. He doesn't change anything. He just says, okay, I'm with you now. And he's no longer interested in, you might think, oh, he's invested in this planet where this guy was doing mass murder. And that's why nope, he's willing to leave and we never go back and we don't give a shit.
Right.
And which is why when I had read this part, I was like, oh, I'm locked in on this weird guy who dresses up like a clown and murders people after like scaring the shit out of them. But that's not the guy we see for the rest of the book. So there is a kernel of a cool Zakalwe here. And
he just becomes
you
like
have
a
seen
cold
the last
operator.
Yes.
Yeah, he just becomes a cold operator, which is boring. Like,
yes.
and he's and there's just like nothing charming about him. Like he's like James Bond without the charisma.
Yes.
He has to have something that, like, yeah, okay, he has incredible martial skill. He has, like, relatively like unflappable grasp of a situation. He can turn an entire war around essentially himself, it transpires, but he has to have something that that is capable of like grabbing him and leading him by the nose, right? He has to have a weakness.
Chairs.
Yeah, chairs are his only weakness.
I tell you
We'll
what,
talk about it,
there's
but-
a bit in 12, I think, when he's with the like fuck ass noble or whatever, and he realizes like the whole time like he's been feeding like pieces of a chair to a fire and not really realizing it. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Like he's kind of locked in, and he doesn't care what he, it's a microcosm of this dynamic of, okay, he doesn't care what he burns as long as he, achieves his like goal, however petty that goal, right? Whether it's war or just like keeping a fire going. No, as it happens, there is a stupider reason that he's burning pieces of a chair.
Yeah, we'll get into it, listeners. Chapter 2, we get a flashback where Cunty Drone turns out to be really good at killing people. Doesn't
Right.
matter.
This is another thing. So there's a bunch of things in here that I'm like, this would have been a cooler book. One of them is like is Zakalwe going goofy mode on all of these like dictators. The other one was like Sma and Staffan Antiscore or whatever his name is
Stephen A. Smith,
doing doing like a buddy comedy movie or
Right.
whatever. Like cuz they were fun. I liked their dynamic. I liked I liked for some reason he's like weirdly misogynist to her, and she's like,
He
"You're
calls
a
her
robot."
toots.
Yeah, she's like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, that was funny. And I would have liked to see more of that, but then they just like vanish, and it's just this fucking guy, and every flashback is the same thing.
Yeah.
Him on some savage quote unquote planet with like people doing human sacrifices or something, and him being like, wow, I'm so much smarter and better than these people. Wow. I have chair trauma. And literally I was like, what, are you a cuck? Like literally I said out loud to myself, and the monkey's paw curls later. But like, so it literally is just the same thing a bunch of times. And it literally, all of this could have been an email.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, and by chapter 6, Sma will basically not be a character anymore, despite it really being setting her up as this like major force in the novel. Not that I was that mad about it, because by that time I had been like soured on Sma, but like there was something there,
Listeners will recall our Black Chamber episode from like a year and change ago. Of course we, savaged that
Lenore,
book.
what book are you talking about? I'm not familiar.
Oh, have you just like blocked it out in your memory?
I don't know what book you're talking about.
and
That's
I
not a
wasn't
real-
here for that, so I literally have no idea what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Oh, so there's another like hyper competent secret agent character in that book. And like she's the daughter of like plantation owners in like pre-revolutionary Mexico. Like,
Whoa.
obviously like not a great like class position, but like I have
Not
to
according
give
to the people who write the book.
Yeah,
Not according
no,
to
like
the author who thought it was awesome. Sorry.
I hate to give SM Sterling his flowers here, right? But like I think he does the hyper competent woman better. Luz O'Malley Arostegui has the right to kill her family's killers herself, and Sma doesn't even do that, right?
Well, Sma doesn't do anything.
Mhm.
She literally
Except
just
fuck.
goes onto a ship and says, "Ship, find Zakalwe for me." And they do, and she goes to him, and he's like, "Okay." She doesn't even have to like she doesn't even have to fuck him. I thought she was gonna fuck him or something, because like they show us how good she is at fucking.
There was a whole thing in chapter 3 where Stephen A. Smith, the drone, is like, tells the ship, I don't want to tell her that we don't know where Zakalwe is, because I'm stressed out that she'll get mad. And then she finds out and she's like, I'm not that mad. Don't worry. And then they find him instantly and they don't have to look for him.
Yeah, she has
and the
a
only good thing-
remarkable
The only good thing about that chapter is that the ship has a physical manifestation that's a little furry yellow guy who likes to cuddle. That part rules. He goes,
Yeah.
The ship's called the Xenophobia, which is crazy. And he goes by Zini. And it's like, wow, that seems like a fun thing. And then we're gonna have a dress up party. That's awesome. I hope we do stuff with this. No, they don't. And the dress up party's not even that good. And then we never see Zini, the crazy ship, ever again. Which again, like we're getting flashes into this into Banks's brain. Banks's brain, which has some remarkable stuff in it. I'm like, I would love to play like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign run by this guy, but I'm not particularly enjoying a book written by this guy.
book is like 12 short stories smashed together that
Right.
I think that they would have all been good short stories. Like the prologue could have been a short story, and the Zenny the ship could have been a short story, and yeah, some of the weird planets that he's on, like when he gets beheaded or whatever, and then they have to give him a new body, which was like, okay, great. Because like nothing important really happens until we get to the flashback where we figure out like what the deal with the chair is, at least in part. And that also, and this shit made me laugh so hard I almost choked. Like I fucking lost it.
So we have a bit where it's like, what did Zakalwe do before that?
He was literally like a nobleman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh no, I meant Exai, but yes. I'm just gonna gloss over this. There's a part where Zakalwe is a beach hermit. He's a hermit like 3 times in this book. He fucks
Yeah,
and then
it's
the girl
the same
dies.
thing again and again.
Whatever.
Mhm.
Bullshit. They track down Zakalwe in the main timeline, and then they're like, Zakalwe, you're very important on this planet, and you've been doing this whole operation. You just killed this warlord you didn't like. You're clearly invested. I'm going to try to convince you to come on this mission anyway. And he's like, yeah, I'll come. I'm not worried about it. And they're like, what's your demand? He's like, nothing, whatever. It's chill. I'm coming. I don't care about this place. I don't care about anything.
Then he says he wants them to find someone for him.
Yeah,
That's
that they've already found for him once. Yeah, Luvueta.
Right, but he doesn't say her name. He just says her.
Yes.
And then we find out about a different her. Like we like get that flashback of him when he was like living with that poet woman for a while.
Mhm.
Who he goes through this whole like, oh, she's fixing me kind of things. And I was like, okay, at this point, like he does that whole like, oh, this woman who understands me and is going to fix me and heal all my wounds. I was like, okay, so is this guy supposed to be pathetic? Like that's the moment I've had that thought. I was like, is Iain Banks operating like on a level that I can't even grasp? Like, is this guy supposed to suck dick? But he's not. No, he's supposed to be a really cool guy. And then the poet girl never comes back.
I would believe that Iain Banks had moments where he wanted us to think that, but I wouldn't believe overall that's the takeaway because that's just not the ethos of the book. There are sections, like I just said, short stories with like Shias Ingen, that poet lady, where I was like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be no.
Although,
like,
I mean, with the twist at the end, maybe he is supposed to be pathetic. It just like it. There's so many competing themes and forces in this book that just do not cohere. Dude, I was like waiting for some huge like thing to happen, and then it just didn't.
Now, like, without yet directly spoiling what it is at the end of this book, like, I was a little unclear on this, partly because I was sort of skimming by the end. Like, was he supposed to know that, like, was he supposed to know like what the twist was, or was his memory supposed to be like, you know, totally
he knew?
fucked? Okay,
he knew. Okay. No one else did.
Right. So like, but also like sometimes we're in one guy's POV and sometimes we're in the other, and it's like hard to tell when, like which is which. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't get his backstory until chapter 7, Roman numeral 7. But
right. So when we get to the backstory, I think we get that before we get to the planet with Beishai. Like, so the backstory is Zakalwe was like the son, one of 3 children, son of probably some like minor noble house or something.
Yes.
He had 2 sisters, and when they were quite young, another woman, a woman came to live there, and she gave birth to a son. So he grew up with a stepbrother as well.
Elithomiel, I think.
I think.
Alethia. Yeah.
Alethia, and his sisters are Darkons and Lithweta, I think,
Yeah.
are his. And they grew up together. Zakalwe was very competitive with Alethia because he was like better at him than him at basically everything.
Yeah, Alethia sometimes would get mad at him and push him in a lake. That part was cool.
Yeah. Alethia was like, shut up, bitch, kind of. He was like the cool brother. So then like one day these kids are like, they want to steal a rifle from the guards and shoot it because that's what kids do. And I thought it was going to be like, okay, Zakalwe and Alethia are going to fight over the rifle and shoot one of the sisters. Was like my immediate thought. And I'm actually glad he didn't do that because I feel like it was being set up to be that, and I thought that was good. That was kind of boring.
Well, and you know, it's one of, it would be one of several. There's so much. All the women in this have been like brutalized as part of their backstory, right? And it would just be one more of those.
Yeah, and I mean, like, also, so then some assassins are coming to kill the family.
We don't know why.
We don't know why.
Will.
We never find out why. More political bullshit that just is just like politics. Am I right? That's so they shoot the gun and alert everybody at the house, and the family is saved because of that. But one of the assassins shoots at them, and it shoots Darkins.
Yeah,
and
dark.
Right,
Yeah,
and it like shatters her pelvis, and one of the shards of her pelvis ends up in Zakalwe's chest.
Yes.
So he gets boned by his sister.
Literally, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, which is good. I thought that was cool.
He's not the only one.
Right. Okay, but then the thing is though, like, I don't think Darkons maybe has like 2 lines.
Yeah.
And
she's nobody.
Zakalwe and Darkons never speak to each other. Like, so we have no, like the whole time you're like, why is he so obsessed with her? Because they don't seem to have any kind of relationship at all. And the twist kind of muddies that. But like, you spend the whole book being like, okay, what is the because then the next thing that happens is he comes home from like military duty and he sees Darkons and Alethia fucking on a chair in the garden house or something.
Wait, let me read this because this part rules. Please let me read this. Darkin's startled face twisted over her shoulder, regarding him. Her hands were still clasped round Alethia neck. Alethia sat, trousers round his ankles, hands on Darkins' naked hips under her bunched-up dress, looked calmly at him. Alethia was sitting on his little chair that Livweta had made in her carpentry class long ago. "Hi there, old chap," he said to the young man, holding the pistol.
Right, so like...
is the guy, and he looks at him, and then later... Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so okay, so he walks in on his stepbrother and his sister fucking each other, which is like, okay, that is traumatizing probably, but like in a story there needs to be some, like, he needs to have had a relationship with one of them.
Yes.
That meant something to him, and we needed to have seen at least one conversation because like we get more about Alethia than we ever get about Darkons, which I guess makes sense at the end. But like,
we get more about the other sister too.
Right. So I was like, so is Zakalwe's thing that he was in love with the brother or something? But then no, he thinks gay stuff is weird. So no, but like, because like there is like no relationship at all between Zakalwe and Darkons. Like
you're absolutely right.
Except
like
that she has like, he's got her pelvis bone in his heart.
Yeah, all we're left with is that it's like traumatizing in some way for him. And yeah, absent a relationship, we are forced to assume, okay, he's entitled to, like, you know,
his sisters.
Yeah.
Right. He feels his sisters belong to him.
Which is gross.
Yeah.
Either his sister, which is gross, but it could be a character thing if we were willing to go there. But that's not really what we're doing.
Right, but he's not like he has sex with like a bunch of women and he doesn't get attached to them, and we don't see him as controlling. He seems like a good one night stand, like
Yeah.
a good lay, like whatever. So we don't see that he's controlling and weird about women.
Right.
He's not
like,
obsessed with, and he's not obsessed with his sister in some kind of sexual way or non-sexual way. He's not obsessed
No.
with his brother or stepbrother in some sexual or non-sexual way.
Yeah,
His
I have this note
sister's
about
not being sexually assaulted. Later on, his sister will be mistreated by a Lethemiel. But like at this moment,
that's
this
putting
is
it mildly.
all indications are that this is consensual and they're into each other. So it's not that, because that was like, oh, was she being assaulted? Nope, that's not the case. So like, I think it like boils down to like, oh, I saw my like sister's butt. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, whatever. She fucked her hot stepbrother that she met when she was 14 and he was 12.
Who hasn't?
Many such cases, I'm sure, right? Like, it happens. And later on, there will be more stuff with chairs that we find out there's more trauma with chairs. But
Yeah,
for
he's got an
most
arch
of
enemy
this
called
book-
the Chairmaker.
Yeah, but most of this book, every time he sees a chair, he's like, not a fucking chair, bro. I'm so
Right,
scared
and
of
then
chairs.
we see like when he's like there's a war that he's fighting, and he literally gets his tank commander to blow up the chair that his
Yeah.
sister was being fucked on.
I love
and
that.
I laughed so hard. I
So funny.
legitimately thought I was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to be
Like-
serious. We're not supposed to think it's funny or that he's pathetic. We're supposed to think like, wow, he was really fucked up by that. And it's like, I'm sorry, come on.
Yeah, again, like
yeah, grow up.
If we were, you know, I refer you again to the intro of this episode, right? If we were to get more pulpy with it, if we were to really lean into like the fundamental pettiness of this guy, right? Because I love irrational pettiness. I love irrational desires and like grudges driving decades, centuries even of conflict, moving like millions and millions of lives and like determining the fate of nations for this one dude's obsession. Cool. Do more with that, but we don't.
Or I thought was he assaulted on a chair? Like that also would have made more sense to me, but no. It was just like he saw his sister fucking his stepbrother.
Mhm.
Okay. There is more stuff with chairs later, and we do find out like why he hates chairs so much, but this, like, the problem with everything relying on a twist ending is that the book is not strong enough before you get there that it matters. Like, because you spend the whole book being like, why is everyone acting this way? It sucks. Like,
Right.
It's not even like physical chairs either. If from chapter 8, going forward, chapter 8, he's spending lavishly. He has unlimited funds from the culture. He's spending lavishly to build this like business empire in the space of like a week to attract the attention of this guy he's tracking down. Well, he said, I'm on my way now to the university. Breakfast with the dean. I'm setting up the Stabberend Scholarship, and the Stabberend Fellowship, and the Stabberend Chair, he grimaced. Right? That's not even a physical...
it's funny. It's funny. It's hilarious. And I don't think it's supposed to be.
Right.
Like, that's the problem. Like, my man cannot say the word chair. And at this point, you're like, it's because he saw his sister's ass on a chair. Like, and it's so funny. And it just, like, is not supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Ian, my man, what is happening?
He's got a sense of humor, right? There's a chauffeur that like is driving Zakalwe around at one point, and he can only speak through this voice box with like, I guess, a large language model in it that has like pre-programmed phrases. And like when he's taking blows in like the fight, because as it turns out this chauffeur is like a sleeper agent or whatever. It's wild. It's wild. But I mean, so is the theming of this book, right? There's a bit in like chapter 6 where like he kills a slave overseer, and like it's juxtaposed with the unintended consequences of him like destroying a bird's nest, like whatever, you know, a little clunky, but like more of that, please. I want to see entire civilizations ruined because of this guy's like sense of justice and like of, you know, having been wronged, however legit or not.
Right.
Okay. To like bring us back to where we are in the main plot moving forward. And we've already alluded to this. Zakalwe gets access to a lot of funds now that he's working with the culture again, you know, with no friction at all, to go and get this guy Beche. Remember Beche? You might not, and you've only
Beishai. I
Beishai,
said,
yeah.
So
Beishai, yeah. We only mentioned
This guy.
him, 40 minutes ago. Imagine if it had been 150 pages. But he's a guy, and we got to get him so we can stop war in this cluster. So we're giving him all this access to all this money, and he's going by this name. How are we saying this? Staberine?
Staberine? Yeah.
Staberine. He's going by the name Staberine. He's buying up a lot of shit to impress a lot of people and basically to build a business empire in this place that he just got dropped into. The Human Federation are these people that are human supremacists. They don't like computers, and they are like, I don't know if I trust this guy. We're gonna, track him and see what's going on with that. They try to kill him in a really ponderous action scene. It all falls out into a situation where after this like really raucous party, he is able to meet with Beishai and get him out of his retirement. I do like the party does have a moment where there's like a doctor that can like cut off your limbs and reattach them and it doesn't hurt and there's no negative consequences. And so it's like a party where you're walking around without arms or like someone else's arm or someone else's dick or something. That part's kind of fun. I like
He's
that.
like, I hope everybody loses track.
Zakalwe like hates it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's very
mad at
grossed
it.
out by these people, and it is kind of portrayed as like this is like because obviously like he's seen people mangled in war, and so like seeing these rich people like playing at that I think grosses him out, which is a character trait, but it still like he feels like a different, and I mean maybe this makes sense with the twist, but like he feels like a bunch of different guys slammed together. Like he doesn't have any consistent character traits. Like he's different every time we see him.
It's very Final Fantasy VII for reasons that we'll get into.
And then fucking Zach Fair shows up.
Yeah. Zach Fair Callway, is this anything? So he by chapter 5, like I'm my notes are getting more and more sparse and reading things like another tent, and he's really good at vision quests. And please God, something happen. There's a bit where
we have another flashback where he's like in a tent with like a lady who's like, you're gonna have a drug dream, and he dreams of chairs and reflects upon them, and he dreams about electric chairs, and there's like a weird thing where it's like electric chairs are cruel and unusual punishment, don't you think?
I also think that it's interesting. I don't know if this really matters, but it like is interesting to I think Iain Banks's like brain that most women he interacts with he refers to as girls.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, he just calls women that. And then something like later that this makes me think about is we'll get into it later, but yeah, he exclusively refers to women almost always as girls, even the women that he's having sex with, which I thought was which is also a character trait that he could have, which doesn't really ever go anywhere. Like, I think that the next important thing that happens is he gets to Beishai. As usual, he goes to Beishai and he's like, hey, come with me. And Beishai's like, no, psych, okay. Like, it's not that hard. They have to like fight some people, but whatever.
Your girlfriend assistant wants to kill you. He's like, no, she doesn't. And then she pulls out a gun. She says, I want to kill you. And then, of course, because he's the best fighter ever, Zakalwe kills her and the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then they go, and then their ship gets shot down, but then like another ship comes and picks them up, and like they're like, oh, these other guys really want you, and they're demanding that we hand you over to them. And he thinks they mean Beishai, but actually they want Zakalwe because Zakalwe is their messiah? ?
Yeah, because he was here 30 years ago, which we mentioned like one time, and I guess he fought so good back then. Which that could have been one of the flashbacks. If we're gonna do fucking 13 flashbacks in this book, could one of them have been the thing he did that got this culture to like him?
So actually, like, I was thinking about that the whole time, that all of the coolest stuff that happens in this book happens off screen.
Yes.
And we keep, like, it's like, it reminds me of how Stephen Moffat writes Doctor Who. I don't know if you guys have watched Doctor Who, but like...
No, but I am familiar with you using this as an analogy.
Yes.
Because it's useful.
a man who I would fight in the parking lot of any, like, call me Steven, anywhere I will fight you. That, like, my, like, everything cool thing that happens in a Stephen Moffat story happened off screen, and the characters talk about it. And they always sort of leave you with these hooks of, like, stay tuned, or something cool will happen, and then nothing cool ever does.
Yeah.
And that's what I kept feeling in this book. Like, I keep being promised some cool thing that's going to make everything make sense, and then nothing ever happens.
It's much like in when I get mad at Star Wars, it's because it does the exact same thing. It's like, yeah, there was this crazy shit. You should have been there.
Yeah, right. So he gets, and it's like this sort of, like, not very advanced society with, like, some weird priests. And this is a thing that
They're gay
annoyed me.
priests.
Yeah. So, like, the priests are like, oh, we have some boys for you. And he's like, oh, great, thanks. And it's just like some, like, a harem for him of guys, of boys. And he's like, well, you left me with these homosexual priests or whatever. And then in the narration, it says that this society is politically and morally behind other societies
Yeah.
on the planet. And I was like, and we don't learn anything except about this society, except that there are some priests who fuck boys. And I was like, okay, so are they young boys? But you call every woman you have sex with a girl.
Mm-hmm.
So what
Right.
is the moral problem here?
I just automatically assumed that they were like young adults, because
Yeah, me
he
too.
had been doing that with that, which made me like want to fall to my knees and be like, it should have been me. He, like, everybody, he doesn't appreciate like cool shit when he gets it. Like, well, you got a harem of hot guys that all clearly want to fuck you, because it said they all smiled at him seductively. And it's like, fuck, I'm gonna kill you, Zakalwe.
Yeah,
Um,
loser.
Yeah.
His space
Unfortunately,
steak
no
is
one
too
does.
space buttery.
Right.
Right.
So,
like, I could have commanded the armies. That
right.
seems fine.
So I'm like, what is the immoral thing in their culture, Ian? What is
Right.
it? Because you haven't told us anything except they have there's gay people in it. And I
Right,
know
and they
he wrote
fight
this
wars.
in the 70s.
But everyone
But,
fights
like,
wars.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, what is it, Ian? I
Yeah.
become like that meme of the duck that's, like, biting the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that part's a whole thing. We get a few more flashbacks. Like, there's a part where he's in a hospital being treated for a head wound, and then he sees a chair, and the nurse says, "Oh, don't put chairs in his room." He freaks out.
Chase lounges
That was
only,
awesome.
please.
That shit ruled. Oh, can we talk a little bit about, before we get to sort of the conclusion here, Zakalwe on the culture ship? Because I did think this part was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
in flashback 4, which is like they're counting
Actually,
down.
like,
'cause that's pretty
flashback
late.
12. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty late. It's the first time Zakalwe ever ended up on a culture ship, which really, is kind of interesting, which is like, hey, we have this like whole post-scarcity society where we're all living communally. And it's like, if the Adonians from the Dispossessed had like a ton of money and resources, it's like, yeah, whatever, just find a room, sleep there, go to the next place, check it out. People work here, but they work because they like the work, things like that. And it's also the first place we actually meet a non-human alien 268 pages into the book. I didn't get that. I don't know why humans keep being evolved in different places all around the galaxy.
And then there's like a paragraph that's like, yeah, and then she died.
Yeah.
What do we think of? I don't know. What do we think of? This is the part where like we kind of get a look inside the culture. What do we think of this society that has achieved everything, and now people are just kind of living in the way they see fit? I think this is the core of what is interesting about this book, if there is,
Well, and there's not we were just talking about this, right? Like, there is such an intriguing rabbit hole to go down. There's such an intriguing trail to follow of like, okay, AIs are like directing everything. They have like perfect comprehension of like what needs to be done to fulfill literally every like physiological, psychological need. And they do it with such a casual violation of like people's agency, like all the fucking time. Like there's a bit where like, you know, he's having like incredibly detailed sex dreams because he have access to that technology on the culture ships. And he finds out that like, oh yeah, like we did like a space Tinder thing where like if you're having a sex dream, you're matched up with somebody who's also having like a related dream. And it's like, excuse me, why are other people like involved in my sex dreams without my consent? Like, can we talk more about that? Can we talk more about like the implied consent, you know, to surrendering your autonomy in this way?
Right, which is, and then like this is why I thought that the twist was going to be that he was an AI programmed with a traumatized man's brain, and
Because they can do
that
this
was
kind
the
of shit.
weapon that they were using. Yeah, but nope.
What is the weapon they're using? Just lots of weapons? Just
They
the
do
use
drop
of...
a use of weapons at one point, but it was like nothing. It was
What
like
are we,
not
some kind of use of weapons?
exactly.
Yeah, maybe the weapons we were using were the guns we found along the way. I don't fucking know.
So, so the people on this podcast know that I worked on the Life is Strange series, and before they laid me and my director off, we were like, "There's got to be a part where Max gets like stabbed by someone, and they're like, guess life really is strange." Maybe that's why they laid us off.
Wait, did that make it into the game?
Unfortunately deserved.
No,
No, it doesn't, unfortunately. It would have been the first game to make $1 trillion if it had, but you know,
Yeah.
that's why we got to listen to Aisha.
Aisha would have been a trillionaire before Elon Musk.
Yeah, exactly. If we had somebody say life really is strange after killing Max Caulfield.
Zakalwe kills him. It's a kills him, but it's a crazy different thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so basically, like, Zakalwe wins this war for this group of homosexual priests because he's so good at war, and it's so funny because he's just like, he's like, just do a decapitation strike, and I'm like, I feel like they could have figured out that on their own, but I guess like, yeah, you're really good at it, Zakalwe. Like, I don't know if they needed you.
But then they don't do the decapitation strike.
Yeah.
That's what's even weirder. He's like, do it, like spends time describing it, and then they don't do it.
Right.
And then
because then
he does other shit.
Then Smaug comes in and is like, sorry, Zakalwe, you were actually supposed to lose. You were supposed to just like spend several months fucking those boys and like not doing anything.
And he's like, damn, I could have been getting bussy this whole time.
Yeah,
I was locked in.
literally. Yeah, he locked in too hard. He was supposed to just
There's something really intriguing that he says during that whole like war sequence, right? He's like, okay, well, if you have the power, if you have the resources to solve a problem in this way, if you have the big stick, you have the obligation to hit something with it, right? You know, which is why he comes up with the decapitation like idea in the first place, like winning the war conventionally and doing it like the hard way, but like the way that results in like basically like not kicking off like mutually assured destruction, right? It's a compromise that he arrives at, but like it's an interesting insight, few and far between as these are, into how he believes wars should be fought, what he believes a civilization, the responsibility that he believes like a civilization has to its people, right? To avoid them, you know, to prevent them from becoming tools. And I guess like the closest thing to like pathos that this book gets is that like he permits himself to become one such tool.
And he also like allows himself to kind of become a casualty, right? Like he kind of just walks out onto the field and gets like his shit rocked, which like, again, felt unearned because like we really have not seen too much of his like idea about war. He's just thinks about like, oh, war's kind of fucked up when you think about it. But then he just like keeps doing it, which is another reason why I thought he was being controlled, because like he is a weapon that is just pointed at things. And I guess he still is kind of metaphorically, but so the place that I kind of got with like, what is this book's ethos on conflict and war? And I want to talk about it before we hit the twist, because I don't think the twist really has anything to do with that. Because we never really find out what any of these wars are being fought over. And I think that's intentional. And I think that the reason is because Iain Banks is a good liberal who believes that all violence is equally bad. and there is no such thing as good violence, and we don't need to know who is right or wrong because it doesn't matter, because you just shouldn't fight. And I don't think that's true. Like, I think there
Right.
is just war. I think there are just moments to learn to use violence.
Such as when you're being abducted by desert rapists, right?
Right, exactly. And like the Saint of Bright Doors, right? That the only way to change the world is through the application of directed violence.
Mhm.
And I think that is way more like, I think that is a more realistic and sort of like holistic way to look at the world. And I think that any book that purports to be about imperialism and war and then just concludes with war is bad, it's like, yeah, you're right, but like that doesn't stop anybody from doing it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I felt so like this pathos that he gets at the end just felt so unearned, because like I didn't feel like he learned anything, and I was waiting for the moment where I found out that he never could have learned anything anyway because he wasn't a real person.
He has this moment where he's bleeding out and you think he's going to die, and then he doesn't. Where he says,
Again.
"In every age and every state, there has seldom, if ever, been a shortage of eager young males prepared to kill and die to preserve the security, comfort, and prejudices of their elders. And what you call heroism is just an expression of this simple fact. There was never a scarcity of idiots." Right?
Right. So
That's
war is bad.
what he
Yes,
said.
we know. Thank you.
Right. War, what is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
And also, like, what does it say about him? Because his whole fucking thing is war, right?
Right.
Like, the closest that we get to sort of an introspection on that is like very early in the book, where he's on the he's picked up by Sma and he's doing like target practice, and he's like, well, like I have this we have like pistols that are like absurdly powerful, but like I prefer this old rickety ass like plasma weapon just because of the way it feels, right? I'm frustrated that like the ship has like perfect recycling and there's no like trash for me to shoot at. I don't care that there's like hollow targets. I want to feel the tactile fucking like, you know, blowing stuff up, right? Like, and it's somebody who is so trapped in conflict, somebody who like, you know, bone deep, like, yeah, blood alone moves the wheels of history, and there's nothing more like complex motivation than that, right? Somebody who like allows himself to become a weapon, right? That's intriguing, but it's not what we get ultimately, is it?
No. So who wants to describe the twist?
Well, we get a final flashback first that I think is important to understand.
It's a deep-seated trauma, let's say.
Yeah.
Deep-seated is crazy.
God damn it, Lenore! Oh my god, that was so good. Lenore, that was the best one you've ever done.
Lenore,
that was one of the best ones.
That might need to be
my
the episode
God.
title. Deep-seated trauma. Fuck yeah. So we find. Fuck yeah.
Listeners, like, I honestly, like, as much as I dog on this book, like, I do sort of respect the insanity of, like, what we're about to talk about. I just wish the rest of the book had risen to this level much earlier.
Yes.
So there was a
go ahead, Jacob.
war. There was a war between, way back when, Elethomiel and Zakalwe. Elethiamel and Zakalwe had a war. They were on different sides. We don't know what the war was over because, again, Banks is not interested in what wars are over.
This was another thing that made me go, is this a simulation? Like, is this a death dream? Because like suddenly like the bull to my cuck is like on the other side of a war from me and has taken my sister. It felt so contrived and weird.
Darkins gets captured. We don't really know why, except it's like psychological warfare. They're on other sides of war, and bad brother Elethiamel is commanding a gigantic ship called the Stabrand, which is like, you know, Stabrand. And there's been a big fight. They're fighting on both sides. They're arguing. He's worried about Zakalwe's worried about killing his sister, and then they're like, "Your brother has sent something." And I know it should be sad and scary, but let me just read it for you.
Right, because his other sister, something or other.
Lithuania. Yeah.
Lithuania, yeah. Comes and is like, you should just talk to Alethea Mel. And he's like, no, he won't talk to me. And then he just screams at her, like, I'm trying my best or whatever. He just yells at her, and she's like, thanks, great, fuck you. And then they're like, oh yes, Alethea Mel has sent us something.
And then it says he came closer and closer to the chair. He saw that it had been made out of bones of Darkin's Zakalwe. Femora formed the back legs, tibia and the other bones the front, arm bones made the seat frame, the ribs for the back. Beneath them was the pelvis that had been shattered years ago in the stone boat.
Okay.
Its bone fragments rejoined. And it goes on.
This rules. If the whole book was shit like this is why I have hope for the piss book.
Right.
But this was crazy. This was like, yeah, this was insane. This is like something that would happen in like Dengue Boy.
Yes.
Like,
right. And Alethea Mel was literally like, remember that time that I fucked her in a chair? Now she's the chair, bitch. Yeah. That's literally what's happening here.
And I love and this notably, like, I mean, you can tolerate a little bit of implausibility when it's in the service of such a bizarre grudge, right? Because like this hinges on Alethea Mel knowing that that Zakalwe, that Shradnin Zakalwe gave the order specifically to blow up the cuck chair, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He had spies. Like, he was like, he's mad about the cuck chair. I'm gonna make the ultimate cuck chair.
Also, like, it drives more that like this is a thing about Zakalwe and Alethea Mel, which it is, right. It turns out, but not in the way that you think. Right. So he goes upstairs and Zakalwe shoots himself in the head. And this is just it's implied to be just another time when he should have fucking died and then he doesn't. But so yeah, he kills himself, and then we're gone to like the end of the book where Zakalwe is getting his like reward from the culture for like doing what they asked for him to do, as in they have found this woman that he's looking for, and the woman is Lithuania.
Lithuania. Yeah.
Right. And he also like has refused to let them like patch him up after he got injured in the last battle that he was in. So my man is like
out.
100% dying. And Stefan and score. Stephen A. Smith is like, what the fuck, bro? Like, he's like, fucking humans. They're so dramatic.
Dragging his bloody body like all over the place.
Like, Sma has to like carry him like up the hill, basically.
Yep. Yeah, remember her? She's back.
Yeah, her long legs have to like carry him up the hill. Yeah. So they find Lithuania, and she does not want to see Zakalwe. She's like, no, fuck you. Never talk to me again. I hate your ass. And then Sma is like, Miss Lithuania, like, he came all this way. You're the only person Zakalwe wants to see, or to, she calls him by his first name, which is Shradnin. Like, Shradnin really wants to see you, and Lithuatha is like, why are you calling him that? That isn't Shradnin. That's Alethea Mel.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So like, the whole time it was the other. You thought it was the cuck? No, it was the bull the whole time.
Whoa.
So then you're like, oh, what? Why? Like, what do you mean?
I guess, you let yourself like tunnel so hard on like a grudge or like a goal. You essentially turn yourself into like the barrel of a weapon. So like that makes you more susceptible to be like, pointed at something else in a war. Like it's
right. But like, yeah, it's like, actually, wait, how did this happen? Like, so he did kill. So like the guy that we knew the whole time was Alethea Mel, and Shradnin killed himself apparently 200 years ago. but he has been calling himself Shradinine and acting like I don't understand like why he did that or what the narrative conceit of this was.
Well, again, because
Like,
Aisha, you're
why?
right. You're right. Like it makes so much more sense if he's an AI uploaded with this guy's memories. Because otherwise, where does he get his fucking brother's memories?
Right. Like, how does he like what was the point of this? I get it being like, I understand why he's so obsessed with the chair more now because he's the one who did this horrible thing. But like, we don't see him processing why he did it, or like we get no we get all of this like pathos and like internality of Shradinine, but we are never with that guy. We're with this other guy, and we don't know why he did any of the things he did. So, like, was it a metaphor? Like, what? How does this have anything to do with anything else in the book? I just don't. Do you need a really high IQ to understand use of weapons? I don't understand.
The best I can piece together is it wants you to be like, you've understood this whole time why Shradinine Zakalwe, the guy you thought it was, he's done bad things, but you feel like he deserves redemption in theory. But what does he deserve redemption if he's actually this guy? Is I think kind of like what's part of it too. It's doing something about the nature of violence and war that's once again tied back to that like liberal all violence is like equally bad thing.
All violence is equal, yeah.
I think it's kind of trying to do that. Like, well, what if he was this guy the whole time? And it's like, yeah, I guess, but that's not anything, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You could do this as a twist if you reveal it 150 pages ago. I think there's a way of doing this twist that's like semi-interesting. Doing it at the end of the book I did flip back through it, and it does do some careful writing earlier in it that it technically doesn't violate its own rules. It's kind of impressive that he pulled it off in a few places. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not that impressed. There are people like, I was looking at like comments and like reviews that were like, I was shocked. How did he manage to do that? And I'm like, he just did it. Like, you could just do that. Like,
you actually don't have to write the book linearly. You can go back in and add stuff.
Right.
Actually.
And so, yeah, I don't get it. I had a teacher in college. She's great. Laura Newbern. She's got some great poetry collections. A Night in the Country, Love in the Eye. Highly recommend them, both of them. Where she told me in like an intro to creative writing class, something you never want to do. She says, and you might think it's smart, but I'm telling you it's not, is at the end of your short story, be like, but what do I know? I'm just a parrot. And revealing that you were a bird the whole time.
Okay, so I will tell you, there is a piece of media that does this in a way that's good and cool. And I'm going to spoil a video game from 2016 for you listeners, so please get ready for that. Metal Gear Solid 5 does this.
Oh, yeah.
And it fucking rips. It's awesome. It completely recontextualizes everything that has happened in the game. It makes it one of the most horrifying games that I've ever played. And it's awesome. This, I just was like, what do you mean? Like, Metal Gear Solid 5 does this guy was a different guy the whole time. And you're like, what? But like this, I was just like, what?
What do I know? It would have been cool if Zakalwe. It would be cool if Zakalwe was a parrot the whole time.
It would have been cool if Zakalwe was Big Boss the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Sorry if I spoiled Metal Gear Solid 5 for you guys. It's been 10 years. Get over it.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's still a good game. You can still play it. It's fine.
Yeah. Everybody who played it at the time, like on launch, already knew the twist because everybody had guessed it already. But I played it like 5 years after it came out, so my mind was blown.
Yeah, I played it like a year ago. So
So what I think, so if the book had been about the four siblings, that would have been a cool book. Like, explain to me like, let me have more than just like a couple words between Alethea Mel and Shradanine when they were young. Like, write a book about this fucked up incest family who then turns one of them into a chair. Like, that could have been so cool. But like, why do you have all this other fucking stuff in the book?
Yeah, why do we only see Liv Weta like right at the end, like being a nurse, right?
Yeah.
It is again, like for a book for a series that's purportedly interested in, okay, like, what are the consequences of like the minds directing the, you know, engineering these wars, determining that perhaps like this prosecuting this particular war is going to kill millions of people, and it's in service of like preventing billions from dying, let's say, right? What if there's intelligence that decides that? What if there's a guy who like unilaterally is, you know, uplifting civilizations with this technology, and he can't control it, but like him not being able to control it and like stuff spiraling into war is not so different perhaps from what the minds are engineering on a daily fucking basis on a galaxy-wide scale, right?
Yeah.
Instead, we get this like really, really half-baked contrast between, oh, this guy's constantly doing war. Oh, his sister has like, you know, she's not immortal, but like she's grown old, like, you know, trying to win the peace and being a healer or whatever, right? It's the flimsiest possible dichotomy you could wring out of this.
It's just, it feels so amateurish, which is like so strange when contrasted with the deftness and beauty of the prose.
Yes.
It's just so strange that the themes are so underbaked when the writing is so meticulous and like poured over. I found it so bizarre, to the point that I was like, did an LLM write this like 30 years ago? Like, because like it did sometimes feel to me like AI writing, in that it was pretty, but it didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
over perfect.
Like,
yeah.
Right. No, I'm so sorry, Mr. Banks. Like, I can't write to read your piss book, but like, yeah, there was multiple times that I was like, there is just nothing here. It's just so shallow.
Yeah, instead of developing the characters that this is built around, which is like these four siblings, we've got to spend 30 pages with a girl tied to a chair yelling infidel at a guy that will never come back. Like that,
Yeah.
that's the type of shit that happens. We didn't even talk about that because it has nothing to do with the book, right? Like,
Yeah.
because there are so many moments in this that have nothing to do with the book.
Right. It's just another thing for like to show that Zakalwe is kind of a smug asshole. And it's like,
Right, the
yeah,
whole
we know
thing.
you've showed us that multiple times. Like, okay, yes, I do believe that this is a guy who turned his sister into a chair, but like, who cares?
There are multiple like little moments in this book that we didn't mention at all that take up that took up like several minutes of my life to read that we didn't mention because it has nothing to do with this shit.
Right.
Like,
and it's like what I said at the beginning with like the thing he does where he starts a scene in a weird place and describes everything very beautifully. I liked that at first, and then he just kept doing it again and again and again without any substance actually happening, and I was like, I'm gonna kill myself.
yeah. Well, anyway,
Yeah, sorry
then
guys. I'm really sorry, listeners, if you were really excited to hear us like enjoy this book, or if it's like a favorite of yours. I'm really like, I really wanted to like this book.
Yeah,
and I
of
did
course.
for the first quarter. I was really locked in. I felt like I was just grasping at nothing.
Yeah, and like, make no mistake, there are aspects of this that I do enjoy, but it is all totally peripheral to the story that is being told, right? I I like the bit where he's like bopping around in the desert or whatever. He's escorting a chosen one somewhere, and he's like on a vision quest. And it's like, oh, by the way, the chosen one is a red herring, and he was actually set up in this position so like the girl who's like taking care of him during the vision quest grows up to be a matriarch who like fulfills this like even larger prophecy and becomes like a warlord in her own right. That's really fucking cool. You know,
right. Also,
that seems like a
that's
cool
a
book.
much cooler book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to talk about like the unintended consequences that stem from you being a tool in a grand design that you can, not even comprehend, talk about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Apparently,
I don't know,
there's
man.
another book in this series where there is a secret agent. Where at the very end of the book, it reveals he's secretly been Zakalwe the whole time, and that made me laugh.
You mean, but he, okay,
Like,
but he
no,
was
sorry,
like,
not Zakalwe. Fucking whatever. The character from this book. So apparently, there are more dumbass twists later in the series that involve this same guy, which I do kind
That's
of
so
appreciate.
funny. Yeah, he is Zakalwe because Zakalwe is the family name. So
Yeah,
not
fucking,
Sharadadine, the other fucking
yeah.
guy. Alethea Mel.
Alethea Mel.
Alethea
Apparently
Mel,
there's
which
a-
sounds like an angel. Yeah, why
Yeah,
didn't like
because to
I
be
wanted
clear,
to
he
know about
survives
this.
the book. He survives the
does
book
he?
and goes on. Yeah, no, he survives the book and goes on to do like more adventures. Yeah.
Okay,
Isn't
so
that-
like
he's in,
Isn't that the shit
Alethea-
that the Lord of the Rings elves say? Gilbereth Alethea
they say Elendil
yeah, like
or
why
Elbereth. Yeah.
it's like why did Alethea Mel, this weird like anime villain, become this like boring, sad, smug man? Like, I don't know. It sucks. I don't know.
It'd be
I
awesome
don't
if
know,
every
guys.
person he killed he turned into a chair. That would be awesome. I'd like that.
And then he drowned them in piss and turned them into a chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He puts a gun on. He's like, "You should have a seat."
Because like
Yeah. Take a seat, bitch. And like they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we could win this war, but you keep turning people into chairs instead of advancing." He's like, "It's important."
Yeah.
That's something. That's something.
Yeah, that's something.
I've couched my reasoning on a grander design.
Oh man. Well, that was a long one actually. We went longer than we usually do, I think.
Fairly long book with a lot of shit in
Yeah.
it. We didn't even talk about all the shit in the book, but that's because it doesn't. We would have talked about it if it mattered. I promise.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Anyway,
Mm.
what are you guys doing
Well,
next week?
We are talking.
we
well, what
are-
I can say.
Yeah, we're talking next week, of course, the second installment in our nonfiction half. We are talking Angela Davis. We are talking Women,
Hell yeah.
Race, and Class. That collection of
Oh,
essays with Jen on that side. And we have a wonderful, wonderful guest, additionally. We are bringing on the wonderful, the incomparable, revolutionary thought.
Alethea Mel. That's right. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are coming on from Half the Sky, our other podcast that Jen and I and several other communist baddies are on. And yeah, we're going to talk about Angela Davis. We're going to talk about slavery. We're going to talk about the how the family dynamic has somehow endured throughout the generations despite that brutal institution, and it's in the ripple effects that it has on today.
Hell yeah.
Much more interesting stuff than we got up to this week. No,
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, listeners, join the Patreon if you want to submit books for us to read, and hopefully we will like your book more than we like this one, or recommend stuff that sucks. Like,
Yeah,
we
you're allowed to
also
do
are
that.
willing to read stuff that sucks. Yeah, I think I am glad that we read this book. I think it was interesting to talk about,
Mhm.
and I actually think it's interesting to read on a craft level, if only to like read what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Like, if you're trying to write something that hangs together. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I wasted my time reading this the way I did like reading The Running Man or something.
Yeah, I agree. That's crazy that you would say that about your own father, but
My own father, yeah.
Stephen
Mr.
King, of
Stephen
course.
King. Yeah.
Mr. Stephen
My last
King.
name is Stephen, actually.
Anyway,
Anyway.
just Steven.
I just Stephen.
Yeah. It's Aisha Steven Zakalwe, is I believe.
Yeah,
that.
it's my
That's the
actual name,
reveal.
yeah.
You were like, wait, you're not Aisha, you're Steven. that's the reveal. We're
Yeah,
beyond
I've been
anything
Stephen
here.
King the whole time, you guys.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know
fuck
this,
yeah.
but Shiloh's actually a drone.
Yeah, she
I
would be
believe
a
it.
cute drone.
Shiloh multiple times in the last few minutes has been pawing at Lenore for attention, and it's made me really sad that I'm distracting Lenore from Shiloh. I'm like, no, I'm doing a crime right now, actually.
Yeah, Morgana was here earlier, dropped multiple things on my foot, put his tail in my mouth, tried to bite me. He's such a good boy. I love him.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. Well, folks, next week, join us for Women, Race, and Class by Angela Davis with Revolutionary Thought. They will be a fantastic guest. And with lots of cool things to come, remember to check out the Patreon, both to recommend episodes and for bonus content. Lots of cool stuff coming down the pipeline. So make sure you're paying attention to that. And finally, I don't know, if you have a really hot stepbrother that you didn't meet until you were almost almost in puberty, sometimes your sister's just gonna have sex with him, and it's like, what are you gonna do? Don't turn that
Also,
into a
just-
defining trauma.
Just fuck the dude harem. Just do it.
Just fuck the dude harem.
Just let them suck your dick. Just close your eyes. It's fine.
It's gonna be okay. I promise. One of them will be a femboy, and then you can, yeah.
Yeah, every harem has at least one femboy, contractually obligated.
Every harem needs a femboy. That's why we invited you, as they say. That's
Reader, listener, you're the
It's a reference
femboy.
to
The
Father
girl
of the
listening
Bride.
to this.
That's a reference to a Father of the Bride too. Bye, folks.
All right. Bye, listeners. Bye. We love you.
Get your
Bye.
furniture, Julia Fulford.